Today we're going to talk about the Common Core state standards and the best practices. My name is Sharon Whitworth. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County Public Schools, and I am the 15 Districts PTA Common Core State Standards Team Lead. And the reason why you see the KCAS, this KCAS, is because we call it the Kentucky Core Academic Standards. We kind of made a nickname. So with me here today is Cherie Dimar.
Hi, I'm Cherie Dimar. I'm the immediate past president of the 15th District PTA, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's all of Jefferson County. And we're going to begin today. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our history here in Kentucky. In the year 2009, our Kentucky legislators passed Senate Bill 1, which called for higher standards. And in the year 2011-2012, our schools in Kentucky implemented the Common Core state standards. And in the spring of 2012, we also assessed our students on those new standards. And Kentucky was the first state to implement Common Core and also assess. So that made us kind of unique. And we knew that there was a need for us to educate our parents and also the community about our Common Core state standards. We anticipated there was going to be the tested scores would probably go down because we knew that these new standards were a lot more rigorous than they had been. So we knew there was a need for us to increase the public awareness and their support of the Common Core state standards. So we wanted to talk with the business leaders, the parents, and the public about this. Another goal we had was to increase parent participation in PTA. PTA sometimes can be known for just as being a fundraising organization or doing bake sales, and we didn't want it. We wanted to change that image. And National PTA, some of you may not know, but it was founded in 1897 as an advocacy organization, and they have been working to talk about key issues for children, for education, and health and safety issues for years. And the key issue right now that's current is the Common Core state standards. And we were able to talk about these Common Core state standards to these parents and the community members. And while we were doing this, we also were able to increase awareness about our PTA and hopefully to reach one of our goals, that's to increase parent participation in PTA and to help them see that we are an advocacy organization and there's a lot more to us than just doing fundraising and cooking, making bake sale items. Another one of our goals was to increase diversity in PTA. And we did this, we wanted to reach out to diverse groups of people throughout our community. But, you know, each state or district is going to have to think about what their own goals are for their work. And you may want to use some of our goals, which are pretty general, but some of the needs you have in your community might be different. So you may have other goals also. Okay, anticipated challenges. You know, thinking about the goals we're going to try to reach, we had to think, what are some things that may keep us from reaching our goals? The first thing we realized is not all parents come to schools on a regular basis. Now we have a lot of parents nowadays that work 2 jobs. They may be single parents, and they have a lot of time constraints. So we realized that a lot of parents, we're not going to reach them if we're just going to the schools only. Another challenge we had, we wanted to be sure our messages were very consistent. So the first thing we did, we worked very closely with our school districts, curriculum and instruction department, and also with our teachers union, and of course with National PTA. And we developed a PowerPoint. We wanted our message to be consistent, and we worked on this PowerPoint together, so we were very consistent about that. And we also thought, how are we going to reach enough people to be sure this message was effective? Well, we saturated our messages on every type of PTA form of communication we have. Our newsletter, our emails, everything, Facebook, and also our school district did that too. And we also assembled a good team. We wanted to get a good team of people that could get this message out, and we needed people who are dedicated to this cause and were willing to work a lot. Another challenge we were anticipating was the language barriers. So we had our information was all translated and in our PowerPoints, also our handouts. And we had interpreters that were available, and we used them whenever we thought that it was necessary. And another challenge we were anticipating was how to combat misinformation about Common Core state standards. Well, I think we tried to be consistent in what we were saying and not change the message. We tried to be very consistent, and I think that was one thing we anticipated. But, you know, the challenges that you have at your own school or county or district or state will be unique. You'll have to think about what challenges you have that are unique to you. Kind of an overview of our 15th District PTA and our effort to work on the Common Core. This was about a year period of time that we worked on this, a little bit over a year. And in that time, we conducted 36 workshops at 36 schools. And we coordinated those through our PTAs, through our principals, and our family resource and youth service coordinators. We did workshops for 42 community groups. And that way we could reach diverse groups of population. And we're going to go into that a little bit later in the PowerPoint. We reached over 10,000 parents and community people face-to-face through trainings and educational events. And through social media, newsletters, Parent Connection, GE Foundation newsletter, over 900,000 people now know about the Common Core. And we also obtained 3,000 new email addresses that have been acquired, and we continue to educate them about the Common Core state standards. And we worked hard. It was a lot of work. We had a good team that kept working to get these goals accomplished. The next slide talks about our presentation folders and what we included in the folders. So everyone who came to our workshop would receive a folder. One thing we worked on was trying to we created our own logo, and that was a fun activity. It took us a while to all agree on what we wanted on our logo, but that was a neat thing. And we liked our logo in the end, and it was an important part of our work. One thing we included was the National PTA overview of the Common Core state standards. We also had the National PTA Parent Guide, and everyone loved those. We would always cover those and talk about them during the workshops and go over the different things that the parents could do at home to help their child at home. And the National PTA Assessment Guide for Kentucky, we talked about that and talked about how that would affect the child and also the school that the child went to. And our PowerPoint presentation. We always included a copy of that in the folders. We did have to update that as time went on. When the assessments were completed, we had to update it. And periodically throughout our time we worked on this, we had to keep updating that. We did that with National PTA's help and also with our school district's curriculum and instruction department. Also, there was a letter from the 15th District PTA President in their folder. And we developed a response card. And this was a way for us to collect information from the people who attended our workshop. I could see if they wanted more information about workshops or if they wanted to get more information about PTA. And the other thing that was really good about that, when we collected these, we used this card as a means to do a drawing. And every workshop we had, we brought 2 gift cards to a store like maybe Walmart or whatever stores you're using. And we'd do a drawing after we collected all those response cards. And that was also a real good motivator to help people. They always enjoy getting those gift cards. Also, our materials were also available in Spanish. Everything that we gave to people, the whole thing was available in Spanish.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about our overview of our efforts. As you're starting to educate and communicate together as a team to reach out to everybody throughout your community, you really have to think out of the box and what's the best ways to get to the most people. And schools are great ways to do it, but not everybody goes to schools. Sometimes they're afraid to come into the school setting, or they don't feel like they're educated enough to be in the school setting. So we wanted to take our presentation out on the road, so to speak, out into the community in places that probably we've never ever been before ourselves as PTA leaders. So the first one is what we've talked about is the brown bag lunches. And we used to do this many years ago when we were doing parent and teacher conferences and trying to educate parents on how they can effectively work with teachers and ask teachers questions during parent-teacher conference. And the whole premises that you go to the business place or to a community meeting. During lunchtime, you actually do the presentation. And so we did several of those. One that was really, really exciting was we have the Ron Mazzoli Federal building here in Jefferson County, 11 floors, and we worked with the Army Corps of Engineers that was in that building, and it did a workshop during lunch. And they have a lunchroom where people can come, down during lunch and have lunch. And they actually did a special that day, so people would come and participate in our brown bag lunch. So that was very effective. Also, we did one for every public librarian in Jefferson County. I think we have something like 40 libraries in Jefferson County. We did that during lunch when they had one of their meetings. And it helped enlighten them on the difference of fiction and nonfiction books that they have in their libraries. And because of that, we went back to our school system and developed a book or a list of books that they could use and also parents could use to help their kids at home with nonfiction and fiction books. We have an Everyone Reads advisory community board. It's people that volunteer to come into our schools and read to students, and it's sort of an advisory board from community leaders. We did that as a brown bag lunch. And then you need to work through your Chamber of Commerce. We particularly have a subgroup from our Chamber of Commerce called the Bingham Fellows, and one of their main goals is education and how can they help involve and get people going on on things that are happening in education. And so we did a brown bag lunch. But UPS, Ford, GE, any of your major car dealers that would want to do a brown bag lunch, those are really good places to go to have those lunches. In our community outreach, we went into the inner city and worked with a group called Network for Community Change, and we did workshops around the inner city. We worked with churches and did different kinds of workshops with churches. We did one church in which they actually gave the parents their commodities for the month, but they had to listen to us do our presentation on the Common Core state standards before they could get their commodities, which I thought was really unique. Then we also did one in Americana. Americana is a center that has all the different cultures that come in from the United States that kind of, they're working with them on English and teaching them places and how to get resources within the community. And we did one there with 9 different languages, and we had 4 interpreters. And when we left there, we actually left there crying because we were so excited, because a man said to us they had never had somebody work with them like we did, and it was just an exciting time for them, that somebody was actually coming to them and teaching them about the education of their children, because they care and they want to make sure that their kids are well educated. So that was another good, exciting one. We also did one with the Toyota Literacy parent group. It's a grant. It's a fairly funded grant. You might have one in your community that you might want to check out. And we actually had a Spanish person do it in Spanish. And that was unique in the fact that we were sitting there listening to her talk in Spanish, and they all got it, but we weren't getting it because we talk in English. So it was real exciting to see them very involved and engaged, asking questions, and she would, translate those questions back to us so that we could help answer them. Very exciting workshop. We did it with 1,500 Latino group. We worked with them about the Common Core standards. So you really have to, really research your community and reach out to different areas in order to make it successful instead of just going to the schools. We did a lot of outreaches at festivals. We had a children's festival here, a African American Mojo festival, historical black colleges and universities there, kindergarten countdown. In all those, what we didn't do an actual workshop about the Common Core state standards, but we handed out the parent guides to student success that National PTA has developed. So that was a tool, talking to parents about the Common Core. It was just a great way to get that word out. We worked with our local Metro Education Committee with the mayor to educate them about the Common Core. We gave all the parent guides and everything about the Common Core that we had to not only our state legislators, but also when we went to Washington, D.C. For our National PTA Conference, we took a packet and made sure that our federal legislators had the same information, because we wanted everybody to know about the Common Core, to know that our test scores might go down, to know that the standards are more rigorous, and that, everybody would be on the same page. In our social media, we put everything, anything we could think that we could put an article in, we did. We have a parent connection with our school system. We send out to 65,000 parents every month. We had an article in there almost every month. Our own 15 District PTA newsletter was an article in there. We always thank the community and thank the schools in the newsletter for hosting a workshop for us, to give them a good pat on the back for allowing us to come into their community or their school. We did our website. We did Twitter. We did the school system's website. We also worked with the GE Foundation, who is really involved in the Common Core state standards, and they did a big article in their newsletter for us. And then, of course, I think I said Twitter and Facebook. We also did some YouTubes, because we wanted to show parents that if you take the Parent Guide to Student Success, which is about the Common Core, and you pull up a standard, that you could do something at home with that child. So we did one on reading with your child at home, talking. Child would read a little bit, the mother might read a little bit, and then the mother or the father would ask the child, who's the main character? What is the plot of the story? So kind of showing parents how they can actually work with their children at home. We did a math activity where a parent and a son actually baked a cake and teaching that child fractions. We did a parent-teacher conference and actually used the Parent Guides to Student Success as a tool for the parent to know how to ask questions to the teachers about the standards. And then we did one which said, "Don't ever give up," which is a really cute one about a father and a son, and the child just can't figure out the type of books that he likes to read until almost at the very end of the YouTube. But some good tools. And then, of course, a promo about the Common Core state standards. It's really important. The next slide. After we got done with our Common Core, just as we were educating the parents about the Common Core, we were going to be the first state to implement. We were now where we were actually we tested, and now in October of that year, the test scores were going to come out. So we knew that not only do we have to continually educate about what the Common Core is, we were now going to have to tell the parents and the community about the new way that we were assessing in the state of Kentucky, the new way that schools were going to be accountable. So we kind of rewrote our PowerPoint. We worked with National PTA to develop a Kentucky assessment guide, which is an excellent tool. And then we went back out on the road. We got some additional funding to go statewide this time for 2 months to go out and try to get a lot more people educated throughout the state. So we did a trainer of trainers. We brought in some key PTA leaders across the state, trained them, gave them some money to go back in their community and do some more workshops about Common Core and about the new assessment and accountability of Kentucky. So we did about 26 more workshops, as you can see on the PowerPoint, and trained about 13 more people across the state to be trainers of the trainers. So the assessment guide kind of talks about the percentages of the achievement. It talks about the gap, the growth, college readiness, and graduation rate, and the student achievement. And so we had to really get into that and explain to everybody how the schools were going to be accountable, why it was so important that parents and schools and the community work together as a team because we didn't want people to think that our test scores went down. We wanted them to understand that because these new standards were more challenging and more rigorous, that, the grades might go down a little bit. It has nothing to do with schools or teachers not doing a good job. It's just because of the standards being more rigorous. So if you look at the last one, because of our efforts and all the work that we did do, this consisted of our team that we started out with and that we trained. We always took 2 of us together. We always made sure that when we went to a school, especially a school, that the counselor or the principal or their remediation teacher would be there, so that when parents had questions about what are you doing with our child that, is in the 5th grade and still doesn't know the standards for the 3rd grade, how are you helping them? So we always wanted to make sure that somebody was there from the school so they could answer those kinds of questions. Through our team effort and the work that we did win a big award from the Gaines Foundation. It's called the Gaines Innovative and Entrepreneurship Award. We got a big award, got an additional $1,500 to do our work. We also won awards from our national PTA on being the local unit of the whole nation for advocacy in our work with the Common Core. So we're real excited about the things that we have done. If you look at the National PTA website, on the Common Core resources, there's all kinds of resources that you all can pull up to do your work. Our parent guide to student success is right here. You'll see the English language arts, the full standards. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's all right there. So that's the end of our presentation. Cherie, do you have anything else to say?
I think it's important that, some of the main things, you need a really good team. It's a team effort. It's a lot of work. It's important that everyone helps out together, and the message needs to be consistent. I think that really helped us to be successful by being very consistent in what we've said to people. And it's a very rewarding experience. I think that it helps parents. It helps them to feel like they're a part of the education process. It's been a wonderful tool for us to help engage more parents than we normally would have. So it's been a really good tool for us to use. We've all enjoyed doing this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.